Um, Today's topic is going to be informative, so stick around. I'm going to do this for between 15 to 50 minutes of presentation to give you guys some updates on what is going on. So I urge you to stick around and follow the conversation. So I want to start from the breaking news, which is that over 24 hours ago, thank you. Love my hair, thank you. Which is over 24 hours ago, Iran have announced that they'll be dumping the Global Positioning System or the GPS, which is American Satellite Service, and pick up or work with Baidu. So they'll be adopting the Chinese system and dumping the American system. And all of this is coming on the backdrop of the recent war between Iran and Israel, with Iran accusing the West, particularly the United States of America, of using their technology to undermine Iranian sovereignty and systems and give Israel undue advantage. So, with that being said, Iran is now making the claim that they are going to dump the American system in respect of the current events. And America, by the way, is shooting itself on the foot. We are seeing a similar trend between Russia and Ukraine and the role that that conflict is playing in reshaping public opinion and opinion of people around the world about over reliance on the West, whether it's the financial system they created, whether it's their technological transfer, whether it's their control of space. And China is now, I'm sorry to say, taking advantage of what is going on and giving the rest of the world an alternative. So, well, after this conflict between Russia and China is over, I'm sure a lot of people will think about it and look for other alternatives than the current SWIFT system we have in place. So, America have used all the systems they have to bully other people to force them into a weaker position, if you like. So, it's the fight between the global south and the global north. The Transatlantic Alliance, the Europeans and Americans have set up some of these systems to benefit themselves and hope that somehow they can continue to dominate using their institutions, using their technology, using their ability in space, and even in their superior military hardware to control the rest of the world. And the current conflict between Iran and Israel is testament to what I'm saying. Well, let's look at what this is. Iran disables US GPS, join China's Baidu, the end of US satellite dominance. Why now? And what does it mean? So Iran has just shut off GPS across its territory and switched to China's Baidu satellite system. Why now? What does this mean for US dominance in space-based navigation and warfare? In this episode, GVS, which is a news website, by the way, looks at what is going on because it's not just about their global positioning system. It's about even some of the things we use. They are tracking us. They're seeing all the information. They talk about end-to-end encryption on WhatsApp. It's all nonsense. Even some people using Signal is still hackable. All of this is a lie. They are trying to build some kind of confidence in people to see, and these guys have been exposed time and time again. They are passing this information. Communications people are having regularly. They take the information and pass it to the government or pass it to people, other states that need it. So basically, if you look at the assassination of scientists in Iran and all the stuff that has happened recently, the American intelligence is getting all this information, and what they are doing, they're passing it over to Israel. So Israel knows the home address of these people. They're tracking their daily activities. They know where they live. They know what they do. And it's crazy that they carried out this pinpointed attack and assassinated a lot of these people. It's because, again, America's global positioning system and their domination in tech, whether it's and also in finance, by the way. So this is why the world have to seek another alternative. Um, so in this case, jamming will not be a problem, and the Iranians are preparing themselves because, from what we are hearing, it is very likely for Israel to strike Iran again. Iran is talking tough, both against Israel and the United States, with the US President Donald Trump coming out to say recently that if Iran decides to go back to rebuilding their nuclear arsenals or even the facility that is housing them, that America will strike again and again and again. So this is what Trump is saying, that Iran must come to the negotiation table. Well, how can you force them to go to the negotiation table at this point? You just attack them. And Iran is making the argument that they have to withdraw from the International Atomic Energy Agency because the IAEA came into Iran on the basis of the discussions they had with the Europeans as well and the Americans under Obama, they formed this thing they call the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, which was set up under Obama. And then these guys decided, okay, let's do a deal. And all of a sudden, boom, Israel attacks. So why do you expect Iran to go back to the negotiation table? Why on earth do you, or anybody as a matter of fact, expect the Iranians to do a deal? I mean, the Iranians are well within their right to say, well, we've been betrayed so many times. And Iran does not even trust America again. All this argument about, oh, we are trying to give them economic relief, with Trump talking, and saying, oh, we have to give you guys economic relief and so on and so forth. There's a strong possibility that America and Israel are just taking a break and will attack Iran again. And the Iranians are ready and preparing themselves. So let's look at what other outlets Iran allies supporter. All right, let's go to the Times of Israel. What is the Times of Israel saying? So if you're not using their communication system, which is largely different from whatever everybody in the region is using, Iran has warned airlines of potential GPS disruption over its country. Iran has issued a notice to airlines known as Noatam, warning of GPS disruption over the country. The significance of the disruptions is not immediately clear, nor who may be behind them, though GPS disruptions are sometimes used to confuse the targeting of precision guided missiles. Yeah, it's crazy. And this is coming from this is from the 5th of August, by the way. 5th of August 2024 is a long time ago. Now, this GPS signal or GPS system have been used not just by Israel but by adversaries of Iran to get coordinates to hit targets inside Iran, and this is why they have been able to be so precise about it. Anyways, what's going on, guys? What's going on? It's crazy. So Iran have finally decided enough is enough. This has to end. This has to absolutely come to an end. The Iranians are coming to Tel Aviv. Prepare yourself. Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv. Udrup. They don't like this one. Huh? Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv. Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv. The Iranians are coming to Tel Aviv, ladies and gentlemen. Prepare yourself. And even the US President Donald Trump admitted, it's like, boy, those Iranian missiles hit Israel really hard. Yeah, Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv. They've had enough. Let's look at what other outlets are saying. Let's look at what's going on around the world. So this violence erupts at anti-government protests in Serbia. Um, by the way, what's going on between Canada and America? The US is terminating trade talks with Canada. The American president has labeled Ottawa's digital service tax as an attack on the US. Digital service tax. American companies are going to pay through their head. Trump started a trade war with everybody, and Canada and other countries can look at what is going on and decide to target the digital space where America is dominant. If you want to target them, the US is focusing on just goods and bricks and mortar business. You guys dominate finance, you don't dominate the digital space, and you are expecting everybody else that is selling stones and granite and whatever to you to pay to imposing tariff on them. So Canada is doing exactly the same thing, and Trump is livid, and this is why he's suspending all talks with them. Let's look at what this says. The U.S. President Donald Trump have announced the termination of all trade talks with Canada in light of Ottawa's tax on digital services, which the country called a direct and blatant attack on our country. Relations between the neighbors began to soar when President Trump imposed 25% tariff on Canadian goods in February. Soon after taking office, Ottawa responded with reciprocal tariffs. Trump later temporarily suspended the tariff, expressing a willingness to negotiate individually favorable terms to U.S. businesses with the countries that he had targeted for tariffs. Let's continue to look at this. So Trump has long accused Canada of taking unfair advantage of the U.S. And has on several occasions suggested that it should become the 51st U.S. state, urging Washington effectively subsidize Canada's economy. This doesn't even make sense. In a post on its Truth Social on Friday, Trump stated that Canada is a very difficult country to trade with, has just announced that they are putting a digital service tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. Interesting. Odrup, Odrup, Tel Aviv, Udrup. Do you guys know what that even mean? Odrup, Odrup. Hey, when the Iranians were hitting Tel Aviv, and by the way, Safad in the north, they went all the way to the north to target Safad. Man. The US, this US inalienable or unwavering support for Israel is causing it a lot of pain. Like I said, this is why Iran is dumping it right now. This is why countries around the world are dumping him, dumping America, I mean, and are saying enough is enough. We've had enough. Let's look at what the other news is saying. So I have Congolese people saying that the M23 are the good guys. What does that even mean? How can the M23 be the good guys? I just posted a video about it. I'm sure you saw it. President Trump called it a machete war. I was going to talk about that again. He called it a machete war that Congo and Rwanda are fighting each other in Africa and heads chopped off all over the place, calling it a machete war. No, there's no machete war going on in Africa. These guys are using technology, using drones, they're using advanced tech including armored personnel carriers. They have a lot of high grade military equipment. They're targeting each other. And somebody's talking about this doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, let's see. Let's go to Congo. Tel Aviv, Udrup. African peace deal brokered by Trump tied to US resource push. The president says the US is getting a lot of minerals rights from the agreement between Rwanda and Congo. Um, have signed the peace agreement and decades-long conflict to end the decades-long conflict in which U.S. President Trump says give the U.S. right to local mineral wealth. Congolese officials have long accused Rwanda of backing militant groups in the mineral-rich Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and smuggling resources. Tensions escalated after M23 militia seized mining hubs including Goma and Bukavu, reportedly unaliving thousands. Kigali denied supporting militants despite UN and international backing for Kinshasa's claim. Yeah, this is interesting. It's crazy. Israel just marching to where? Where the hell is Israel marching to? You're not even making sense. They're marching to Jahannam. Get ready. Iran is coming. Iran is coming. Get ready for Iran is coming, guys. Iran is coming. Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv. Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv. Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv. Rwanda's Foreign Minister Olivier Nduhungirehe called the deal a turning point. The DR Congo, this Kawikwamba Wagner, however, was more cautious, saying it must be followed by disengagement. I don't even understand what that means, to be honest. But yeah, Trump is doing deals and enriching America and enriching himself. Yeah, Yemen, by the way, let's talk about Yemen. So Yemen is changing the game, by the way, on the Red Sea, on the Bab al Mandab. So what most of these European vessels and American vessels and Israeli vessels are doing is that they'll go and label the vessel as a Russian or Chinese vessel in order for them not to be harmed while they're passing through the Bab al Mandab. It's it's crazy. So these Israeli and European vessels going through the Red Sea, knowing fully well the Houthis are going to target them, now label themselves as coming from Russia or China. You see, because the only people that Houthis have not touched or targeted is the Russian and Chinese vessel. If your vessel is going to Israel from Canada or from America, it's going to be hit. It is going to be hit and sunk. And they're scared of the Houthis because the Bab al Mandab is a very narrow strait and they're targeting it relentlessly. You are so delusional. Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv, Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv, Tel Aviv, Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv, Tel Aviv, Udrup, Tel Aviv. Woo! Let's go. Let's see what it says. Iran has threatened to block the Strait of Hormuz over US strikes, while the Houthis previously targeted Western ships. And by the way, this is from the 28th. Just about 24 hours ago, ships traveling through the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf have begun transmitting false Russian and Chinese affiliations to avoid potential attacks. Reuters reported on Thursday, citing maritime risk analytic firm Windward and vessel tracking data. Tehran, which controls the Strait of Hormuz, a key route for the global oil, threatened to close it if the US joined Israel strikes on nuclear strikes. By the way, Iran's parliament reportedly approved a move on Sunday, though the final decision lies with the Supreme National Security Council. Ah, wow. Meanwhile, the Iranian-backed Houthis have attacked ships in the Red Sea since late 2023, citing solidarity with the Palestinians during the Gaza conflict. While US President Donald Trump brokered a deal in May to halt the attacks in exchange for Western pause in Western airstrikes, the group have since warned that it will target US ships if Washington backed Israel attacks on Iran. Although a ceasefire was reached between Israel and Iran earlier this week, Emil Daniel, the CEO of Windward, said shipping companies remain skeptical about vessel safety in the area. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, by the way. So the Houthis are shaking the table. These guys are the real deal. They are the real deal and they're shaking the table. Vucinic. Let's see. So the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban have said Ukrainian accession to NATO will lead to an immediate all-out war with Russia and the rest of the world, basically. Armageddon. Think about it. Starting a dumb war with Russia. I'm talking about NATO granting Ukraine access to joining the body and starting up a war with Russia and what that could amount to. Prepare yourself, ladies and gentlemen, because the Russians are coming. And thank you for joining this conversation. Let's continue to tap and share, guys. Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv, Udrup, Udrup, Tel Aviv, Tel Aviv. Let's go.